Burnell Glanzer, one of the great high school basketball coaches in this state.
The Armour Packers, the 1978 South Dakota State Class B champions.
Burnell Glanzer. Burnell graduated from Freeman High School in 1971, the University of South Dakota in 1975, and was one of the most successful boys basketball coaches in state history. Burnell guided Armour and later tripped Delmont Armour for 37 seasons, compiling an astounding record of 617 wins and only 209 losses. He was just the third South Dakota boys basketball coach to reach the 600 win mark. Burnell led the Packers to a state record 64-game win streak from 1978 to 1980, a record that has not been surpassed. That streak included one of the most famous games in state history, Armour's overtime win over Beersford for the 1979 State B title. Glanzer's teams reached 12 B tournaments with 3 state championships, 2 runner-up finishes. Burnell coached the Armour boys and girls track teams for 32 years, with the Packers winning 6 state titles, 3 by the boys, 3 by the girls. Burnell also refereed football and girls basketball for many years.
I've taught or been an administrator in education for 41 years, and one of the tenets that we kind of live by is that the mind can't absorb more than the seat can endure. And since I'm the last one up here, I don't know if I should do what I did sometimes in my math classes and ask the kids to get up and do a couple jumping jacks before we kept going, or if I can just make this short. So I think we'll take the latter, but I'd like to congratulate all the inductees into this hall this year and in past years. What a group of inspiring individuals. Also like to thank the South Dakota Sports Hall of Fame committee, or whatever group it was, that felt that I was worthy of being selected to this group. Thanks for this honor, but I want to share it publicly with a lot of people. First, my family. Back at the table is my wife, Deb, who probably didn't see the end of many of our close games because she either had her eyes tightly squeezed shut or had buried her head in her hands. And she also had to put up with me for about a week after an especially tough loss or a game I thought we should have won. And finally, she just learned enough to not try to talk me down, but just leave me alone and I'll get over it. Also want to thank my son and daughter-in-law are back here, Chris and Kate, and my 2 grandchildren, Dakota and Delaney, and my brothers, Bruce, and then back here is Barry and his wife, Beth, and Brent and his wife, Jody. Special thanks to all the student athletes and Armour fellow coaches and friends who made it a point to be here for this, for me, and to all those athletes that couldn't make it as well. You're the reason that this is happening. It's weird, I was talking to Jerry about this before, Jerry James, when we were setting up our stuff there, and he brought it up, and I said, it's kind of weird because this is in my little talk. Moments like this are really hard to put into words, and it's even harder to believe that it's actually happening. I think back to the start of all of this, my roots at Freeman High School and being privileged to play for my coaches there and learn under the teachers I had there. And then later being part of a coaching end of it at Freeman. That 2 years culminated in a state championship for the Freeman Flyers under Coach Bennett. That led to an eventual coaching job at Armour, and the rest fell into place. The point is, during all that time, honors and Hall of Fames and things like that never enter your mind. I'm sure it didn't enter any of these people's minds either. We just did what we had to do to the best of our ability and tried to convey to our kids and to a community that excellence is the goal. I want to make sure that comes through because I consider this honor to be a recognition of a great bunch of student athletes, great parents, and a supportive community. Unfortunately, I wouldn't fit Dwayne's profile of what he thought a good basketball coach would be because most of you know that I was extremely vocal and not especially easy to play for, expecting and demanding a lot of our kids. If you doubt that, you can ask some of them that are sitting out here, and they'll confirm it. But I'm sure that they didn't always enjoy the occasional tongue lashing, correction, and the demands. But they had the grace and the intelligence to see it for what it was, an attempt to bring out the very best that they had and not accept anything less than that. And their parents in our community also deserve credit for that. I know that many parents today wouldn't accept their son or daughter being so publicly and vocally corrected. I've had many of those parents tell me that opposing teams' parents asked them how they could let someone talk to their kids like that. And they all told me, they explained to these parents what we're trying to do. We're trying to push for excellence. We're trying to accept nothing less than the best. And that's what Mr. G is about, and we're going to go with it. And so I really am lucky to have had people that could understand that not all coaches coach the same. You have to coach with what your personality is. You know, John Wooden sat on the bench and didn't say a word. But that wasn't me, and that wouldn't have worked for me. And so I really give our community, our parents, and our athletes some credit for being able to accept that. This honor belongs to the athletes of mine that are sitting out here, and dozens of others just like them that couldn't be here, and to the parents and community of Armour. I'm really humbled by their support and the relationships that we've formed. In fact, the most important thing about this whole journey is the relationships you form with people. Of the people I know in this room, almost every one of them would be because of my career in education and in coaching and in school administration. And I've made some great friends that way and met some fantastic people that way. And for that, I am extremely grateful. I also really enjoyed refereeing girls basketball and football for many years because I had a chance to interact and watch some of these kids play that weren't my kids, but that I had gotten to know in basketball camps or on the circuits of playing sports or basketball or track and field. I was involved in the Hanson Anderson basketball camps with Coach Carney and a lot of other great coaches for probably 35 of those 37 years. And that's how I got to know Amy Burnett. And that's how I got to know a lot of kids that otherwise I would probably never known except, I read their name in the paper. And actually got to know them and their personality a little bit, which is very rewarding. Back on my memorabilia table is a notebook of letters, notes, cards, and emails that come from my athletes. And those are what I cherish the most. I'm most proud of those notes when some former student of yours tells you that you had some positive impact on their life, and I'm sure every educator will tell you that. I'm going to give you a couple examples that I hadn't planned to give. I don't want to pick out any particular person, but I have to, on how close the community of Armour and we as a group were. I have a former athlete here whose wife is expecting any minute. Instead of being home, he's here for me. I have a father back here whose son, right across town, just won the South Dakota Basketball Player of the Year, Ethan Friedel. His dad is here for me instead of over there. That makes me humble. I can't believe that. Again, to all my student athletes, thanks for being here. To all the ones that couldn't, thanks for being there for me. I love you all, and this honor's for you.